everyone, today's video is going to be some money saving cooking tips, so perfect for if you're a student or if you're just living life on a budget like I am. I've pulled together some things that have helped me out in the past to share with you guys to hopefully help you out as well. So my first tip is to meal plan. Now this could be done in a variety of ways. I know that some people like to make like a board with every day of the week with each meal they're going to have on those days. I personally don't like to be quite as restrictive as that. I just put together a rough list of meals that I know I want to eat at some point during the week, but that means that when you go shopping, you're only getting the stuff for the meals you're going to have. It avoids food wastage, which in turn avoids you wasting money on food you don't eat. So it can be a massive help when it comes to saving money. I also think that meal planning can be such a big help if you're one of those people that hate making decisions, which I definitely am. I know that if I've just got a list on my phone of meals that I'm going to be having that week, I can look at that list on the day and decide which one of those things I fancy. Or if you have like the more rigid version where you kind of prepped a meal for each day of the week, you don't even need to think about it. You don't need to make any decision. You just know it's Monday, so I'm going to be having this for dinner, which I think just makes life a little bit easier. It's one less thing to think about. And again, it's just such a massive help when it comes to avoiding food wastage. My next tip is to utilize online deliveries. Now, I know for some people, I think when they think of online shopping, they associate it with spending more money than they would if they went to a supermarket in real life. But for me personally, I find that if I do an online shop, it stops me from ordering or getting a bunch of stuff that I don't actually need. So it kind of goes alongside the meal planning tip. If you've planned your meals for the week, you can then kind of take your time online shopping, getting only the things that you need. And again, it avoids kind of wasting food, wasting spend, picking up 10 items that you never intended to buy, which I definitely find I do if I go to a supermarket in real life. I will walk down an aisle and spot something that I know I don't need because it's not on my shopping list, but because I've spotted it, I'll end up buying it. And I end up just spending way more than I would do if I'd just done an online order. It's also a lot easier. It avoids having to carry shopping back. It just saves time. It means that you can actually take your time when you're shopping. It doesn't feel like such a stressful experience. With most online orders, you can edit it and you have like a big period of time to make that order. So you can take your time with it. You don't need to rush, and it means that you end up actually getting the things that you need. Also, alongside this, if you are a student and you're living in shared accommodation, it's a really good opportunity to do online orders together because it means you can split the delivery cost and it helps you get up to that minimum spend, so you don't feel the pressure to have to spend. I think £40 is the average minimum spend for most online supermarkets. So definitely if you're living in shared accommodation, I recommend getting your housemates together, all doing a big, say, Tesco shop together, and then you can save money by also splitting the delivery costs. But also for the most part now, delivery costs aren't that expensive. You can get shopping delivered for £1 or £2, so it's not a huge additional expense. And I definitely think spending that little bit extra by getting it delivered saves more money in the long run by picking up only the things that you need when you're shopping. My third tip is to make food in bulk. This is something that I did while I was at university and is something that I do now. If I'm making a meal that is freezable, I will make say 6, 7, 8 portions of that meal and then portion it up and freeze it in the freezer in some sandwich bags. I just find this makes life so much easier. It's the same effort to make that volume of food as it would be to make 1 or 2 meals, and it just means you don't have to make that dish again for a few weeks. It means you have stuff in the freezer. If you've had like a long day, you can come back and you know that you've got food in. You're not tempted to order a takeaway and spend money there because the food is in. It's just as easy to heat up that food as it is to order a takeaway pretty much, and you're still getting the same nutritional content as you would do if you'd made it fresh. So overall, I just think making food in bulk is a huge money saver and time saver as well. I know that some people like to make meals in bulk and just eat that same meal throughout the week. I'm personally not the biggest fan of that just because I get bored with food pretty easily and I don't want to have the same meal, say 3, 4, 5 nights in a row. But that is definitely another option if you don't mind doing that. It saves a whole bunch of money doing it that way as well because obviously you're only going to be buying the ingredients for that 1 or 2 meals you're eating that week. You're not going to be wasting any of it. You don't have to get all of the individual components of several meals to have throughout the week. So you could do it that way and have maybe 1 or 2 meals a week and just eat them consistently. I'm personally not the biggest fan of that, and I prefer to freeze it, and it means you can kind of switch up what meal you have each evening and reach for the frozen meals when you need them. To kind of go alongside that last tip, my next tip is to meal prep. So this could be in the sense of those meals that you make in bulk and having them for lunch the next day, putting them in a Tupperware, and it means that you've got meals throughout the week. But also I feel like meal prep is really important when it comes to breakfast and lunches if you know that you're going to be out and about when you're having those foods. I think people don't realise how much it adds up when you get the odd coffee out, or a sandwich for lunch, or you just get a packet of crisps or a snack or so on. Those little kind of things that you pick up when you're out, say you're on campus and you've got an early lecture and you just go to grab a coffee. Those things add up, and in the long run you can save a lot of money by just bringing your own things in with you. So get a reusable coffee cup, bring your own coffee in with you to campus or to work, bring a packed lunch or a packed breakfast. There's a whole bunch of things that are so easy to make, again in bulk, so that you don't have to make them every single evening for the next day. You can make a few breakfasts and lunches in a row, and then it just means you have them to hand. So something that I like to make all the time while I was at university was overnight oats. You basically just mix oats with some yogurt, various fruit, nuts, whatever you really fancy, and leave it in a jar in the fridge overnight. And then it's perfectly edible the next day. You can take it on the go with you. It means it saves you a whole bunch of time. Even if you're not planning on eating it on the go, having it made the night before saves you so much time in the morning. It makes the whole experience of getting ready to leave the house less stressful because you've already got one thing sorted. And it does mean that if you run out of time and you have to take it with you, you can. Oats are another thing that are so cheap and affordable that overnight oats as like a staple breakfast is a really good one. Super cheap, super easy, and again, easy to take with you on the go. My final tip kind of goes along with that last point in terms of oats being very inexpensive, and that is just to buy cheap foods or rely on cheap staple foods. So things like rice, things like oats, pasta, potatoes, beans, all of those sorts of foods are very, very cheap to buy. You can buy big packets of them that will last you ages and end up costing you very, very little. And for the most part, they can form the base of pretty much every meal. So things like chilies and curries and bologneses, again, those are all meals that are freezable, so you can make big batches of them and keep them in the freezer. But they're very cheap to make as well. The actual core ingredients that make up those dishes are very inexpensive. And when you kind of get used to making the core of your meal something that's a very affordable ingredient, it just ends up making everything so much cheaper without you really realizing. And it means that when you every so often have a more expensive meal or you buy a more luxury ingredient to cook with, it kind of balances it out. You're saving so much money from eating so affordably most of the time that when you do have those more expensive meals, it's not going to have like a huge knock on your bank account. So I think kind of getting a good repertoire of some cheap meals is super key, especially those that you can freeze as well, because like I've already said, having meals in the freezer is literally like the best life hack ever. So those have been my money saving tips. I hope you guys enjoyed them, and thank you so much for watching. Bye!